Welcome, everybody, to episode 37 of the Canuckleheads podcast. My name's Justin. I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Wes. Let's talk Canucks. November 8th, 2022, Vancouver at Ottawa. Spencer Martin, Cam Talbot start. Jack Rathbone, Vasily Podkolzin, and Brock Besser all returned to the lineup. Bess was injured. Rathbone and Pods just get scratched all the time. Niels Hoglander and Riley Stillman were both scratched in this one. JT Miller was back at center with Bess and Pearson on his wing. In the first, we had a goal from Bo Horvat. Backhands rebound past Talbot after a Bear point shot. Bear and Rathbone get the assist on this one. Bear's first point as a Canuck. Rathbone's first point of the year, just same as Bear. This was 2-1 Ottawa after one. In the second, we had a goal from Ilya Mikheyev, who uses his speed to burn past an Ottawa defender, protects the puck very well, drives to the net, and a great back breakout pass from Quinn Hughes.
Yeah.
This was a nice goal. This was Ilya Mikheyev taking a pass, doing a spin move at the blue line, and just finally really using his wheels to burn past. I want to say it was Travis Hamonic. I might be wrong on that.
Yeah, I think it was, and he just used really good body position on him too. Beautiful goal.
Yeah, and this is everything that we were advertised with Ilya Mikheyev. Speed, puck protection, scoring a goal from a foot out of the net, just like Wes had mentioned before.
Yeah.
Then we had a scrap. Luke Shen and Austin Watson, I believe. Shen popped him hard twice, and that was kind of it. It was a good fight.
Yeah, I seen 2 shifts before that happened too. Watson challenged, I think it was OEL or someone, and then you could see them just skate away, get out of here, man. And then Luke Shen's like, no, I'll go with you.
Yeah. So this was 2-2 after 2. In the third, we had a goal from Bo Horvat. Great puck protection from Connor Garland, who feeds Bo a pass from behind the nets, and Horvat buries it, kind of like his power play goals, just right in front of the net in the bumper.
Yep.
Then we had a goal from Oliver Ekman-Larsson with a wrist shot from the point, assist to Besser and Garland. Originally, we thought this was Besser's first of the year.
I wish, man.
They changed it after the fact, so OEL with his first of the year. And then we had a goal from Stadnicka, beats Talbot glove side after a horrible turnover from the Ottawa defender.
Yeah.
Brandstrom, I think, was the sender.
Yeah.
Just put it right on Stadnicka's tape, and just... It was a trickler that kind of barely beat Talbot, but still counts.
And I've liked this kid so far. Definitely an energy, bigger body. Definitely an awesome pickup.
Kind of, I think, in the grand scheme of things, he might be a bit of a Curtis Lazar, right? Where he comes into the league and he's drafted as a goal scorer, but maybe has to kind of evolve his game to, be a third, fourth line grinder kind of.
Yeah.
And then we had an empty net goal from Elias Pettersson, assist to JT Miller. Canucks win this one 6-4. Predictions, Wes said 4-2 win. I said 5-4 win. So, close. This was a game the Canucks needed to win. The Ottawa Senators are a very similar team, I think, too.
They're on a losing streak, too, so I knew they were going to come hard. I was kind of concerned about that because when a team loses that many times, they get desperate and they'll start making big hits, big fights, that kind of thing. So, I think we handled it well, though. Yeah,
the Canucks played pretty good. And again, Bo Horvat just continues to score goals. He's still on pace for 71 goals or
it's
something
ridiculous.
Like that. It's insane.
It doesn't even make sense.
You figure he would slow down. You see 10-game hot streaks and everything, but it's not happening. Bo just keeps scoring.
Yeah.
Then we had back-to-backs. So November 9th, 2022, Vancouver at Montreal. Demko and Monton both start. Dakota Joshua was scratched. Niels Hoglander was back in the lineup. This was 3-0 Montreal after one. You look at that and you want to blame Demko, but really, I can't blame him for...
No, and I told Justin, as soon as the first 3 went in, I said pull him.
Yeah.
And I seen some people... It was mixed reactions on that. Some people were saying, yeah, pull him. Some were saying don't. But it's not even because it's Demko's fault. It's just to send a message. What are you guys doing at this point? This is just terrible. It's not acceptable.
And this was... 2 of these goals were Tanner Pearson's fault.
100%.
Took a horrible penalty from behind the Montreal net, 200 feet from your own zone.
Yeah.
Just a dumb hooking penalty.
Yeah.
Montreal scores immediately. Demko's had 2 guys in front of him, so he couldn't really see the shot.
Yeah.
Yes, you want him to stop it, but it's the NHL, man. This is high caliber players.
And I think this is probably Tanner Pearson's worst game as a Canuck.
Oh, yeah. Then on the second goal, I don't know why JT Miller got kicked out of the draw, but he did. Pearson goes in, loses it clean, doesn't even try to tie up the man. Montreal gets it back to the point. They take a shot, and Pearson tips it in the net.
And you could see JT Miller just giving it to the ref. Yeah. He's like, what the fuck did I get kicked out of the dot for?
Yeah, the Montreal centerman wasn't even, he was just standing there.
And you've seen it a couple
Miller
times later, too. Even Bo was getting kicked out of the dot for no reason.
Yeah, it just...
Someone paid off those referees. I don't care what anyone says.
It did feel like there were some soft calls. And the one referee, I did look into this from Montreal. So
yeah, there you go.
Not pointing any fingers, but... and then this was 4-0 after 2. Tanner Pearson left this game with an injury, which, you never want to see anybody get hurt. I wish he was just scratched. I don't want him to be hurt, but he is injured. So
maybe if there was a camera on the bench, maybe Boudreau kind of smacked him upside the head and hurt his neck or something. Who knows? But that was a bad game from Tanner Pearson.
In the third, we had a goal from Luke Shen with a snapshot from the points, and Besser pokes the puck back to him. Mm-hmm. So again, Besser getting another assist. Luke Shen with a goal, which is nice for how good this guy's been playing, to see him get rewarded. He's fighting, he's sticking up for his teammates. I
feel like he's been our best defenseman this year. Huggy hasn't played to the caliber that he can yet.
Yeah, which is scary because, again, Hughes just keeps getting assists too.
Yeah, but some of his defensive plays have been horrid.
Yeah.
So
then we had a goal from Niels Hoglander, his first of the year. Bangs in a rebound after a Petey shot, assist to Quinn Hughes and Petey. 5-2 loss for the Canucks. Wes said it would be a 5-3 win. I said it would be a 3-2 win. This game sucked.
Yeah.
This is we can't stack wins. We couldn't build any momentum off that Ottawa win. We just pissed it all away immediately, getting scored on in the first minute of the game.
Yeah.
There's just, I don't know. It seems like there's no urgency from the players sometimes.
And Tyler Myers, man, I don't know how this guy hasn't been scratched yet.
Yeah.
In this game, he looked horrendous.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrendous. Just letting his assignment go. Just terrible defense.
Yeah. If you're Boudreau and if you want to send a message with a scratch, Tyler Myers or OEL, right?
And Tanner Pearson. I bet you any money if Tanner wasn't hurt in that game, he would have been scratched.
I think
for this next game.
He should have been.
Yeah.
If he wasn't injured.
100%.
But yeah, this was just Ottawa and Montreal are two teams that are lower in the standings. Mm-hmm. They're both rebuilding. They both have arguably better rebuilds than the Canucks right now, right? Yeah. And you should beat these two teams. Yeah. This should have been 4 points in the bag. I get it's back-to-backs and everything, but still.
It seems like we just keep using excuses. Oh, it's on the road. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that.
Yeah.
Good teams find ways to win regardless.
Yeah. Then we had a game, November 12th, 2022, Vancouver at Toronto. This was kind of like the Hall of Fame game for the Sedins, Roberto Luongo, Daniel Effertson, all going in.
Yeah.
Before the game, the Maple Leafs honored Bjorja, I believe is how you say it, Bjorja Salming. In the summer, he was diagnosed with ALS. He was one of the first European players to come over, and very fitting, I think, that it was the Leafs and Canucks that were kind of playing in this game.
And
Toronto,
Hockey Night in Canada. The stage couldn't have been any bigger for it.
Toronto started an all-Sweden lineup for the first face-off, and you think of Swedes in the NHL. For me, because I'm a Canucks fan, I immediately think of the Canucks, right?
Yeah.
Thomas Gerdine, Henrik Daniel, Marcus Naslund, Elias Pettersson.
There's so many good ones.
And Salming paved the way for that, being one of the first guys to come over. That had to be extremely difficult, right?
Yeah.
It was such a different time back then. You probably heard it all the time, about being Swedish and probably the garbage that he wasn't tough enough to be in the NHL or anything like that.
It's just the Sedins, man, just being verbally abused their entire career, the Sedin sisters and that kind of stuff. But if you've ever watched them play the game, man, they'll take cross-check after cross-check after cross-check, and they just keep coming. Yeah. Slashes, they don't care. They just keep playing.
Two of the toughest players to ever play the game.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says about that.
100%.
But Mr. Salming, we wish you all the best with your diagnosis and everything. That's a tough one. You can see Daryl Sittler was his teammate for a long time. That's my dad's favorite player, actually. Mm-hmm. He was, pretty emotional.
Yeah.
And they had also tributed him the night before. I can't remember who they were playing that night too, but
yeah, I think it was Pittsburgh and somebody else.
Yeah, you're right. So it's definitely a tough thing to go through, and we wish you all the best, and good luck to you and your family.
100%.
Really kind of an underrated hero of the NHL for starting that process of great European players coming over. So Spencer Martin and Shelgren get the start in this game.
God, was I glad that Spencer Martin got the start here.
Yeah, I was too.
Yeah.
Riley Stillman back, Jack Rathbone scratched. Not super thrilled about that.
Neither am I. I feel like they scratch the wrong players a lot of the time. And even in the Montreal game, Joshua scratched.
Yeah.
I'm what are you doing? This guy's been great. Like, why scratch Joshua? I don't get it.
Yeah, there are so many like glaring players that you could scratch, right? Get them on the lineup, send a message to. Yeah, like, and like, I hate to pick on Bruce, but you got to hold the whole team accountable, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you can, like, if you sit down Connor Garland for no real reason, what message does that send?
And Niels Höglander, Podkolzin, I get it. He's not really rolling the way you want him to, but kid hasn't been that bad.
Yeah, and like we said, Tanner Pearson has taken 8 shitty penalties.
Stupid.
Like, you can sit him down for a game. Yeah. It's okay. Like,
prove a point.
Yeah, you have to have, and like, same thing with like a JT Miller. You can sit him down for a couple shifts, right? Like, probably don't want to scratch him, but definitely like when he shows a play like he did in Montreal where he throws the puck right in the middle to a Montreal defender, sit him down for 5 minutes. Be like, hey man, like, you're better than this. Yeah. Calm down, get back at it.
I totally agree. I think the coaching isn't as good as it could be right now.
Yeah, he's not holding all the players accountable. There's definitely,
There's
tears,
bias.
it seems.
Yeah.
So in this game, we had a goal from Bo Horvat. Tips in a Luke Shen point shot, assist to Shen and Pods. So again, like, Luke Shen picking up points,
and
Bo Horvat scoring goals.
Just throwing money wristers right at waist height. Yeah. Like, you can tell Bo's stick is already here. Like, he's just waiting for him to shoot it. Yeah. And Luke Shen putting it right where he needs it.
Yeah. Then we had a power play goal from JT Miller, who drew the penalty. Snipes one from the top of the circle, assist to Hughes and Besser. Good screen from Horvat and Besser, both in front.
Man, that was a freaking slim gap. Like, there's no way that goalie seen that puck. You know what I mean?
And these are the things we talked about too, because I felt like the Canucks power play was pretty good. Like, they didn't score any other goals other than that. But because JT Miller took that shot and scored that goal, Petey was getting the one-timers. They were moving the puck great on that first power play, and Miller was shooting. So when you do that, it opens everything up, right? 100%. They don't get locked on trying to make crease passes that get picked off.
Literally, I was saying this when I was watching it. I was like, oh, here comes a forced cross crease pass, and then JT just takes another stride and rips it. I'm like, yes!
I know, there were so many times too where I'm like, here comes the behind the back pass to Hughes, and he never did it. Good on you, JT.
That's the thing. It looks like he's correcting these mistakes, which is freaking awesome.
Yep. So this was 2-1 Vancouver after 1, 3-2 Toronto after 2. This just seemed like Toronto woke up. Yeah. We were talking about this before we started. Like, the Canucks were okay in the first. I just felt like Toronto wasn't into it yet. And then in the second, this was all Toronto. And the third. Yeah. This winds up being 3-2 Toronto. Predictions, I said 5-3 Toronto. Wes said 4-3 Vancouver. So the Canucks go 1-2 this week.
Yeah.
We play the Boston Bruins tonight, which I'm just hoping we don't get shellacked, because if there's one thing I can't stand, it's losing to the Bruins.
Yeah, I kind of wish Lazar was in this game, because you always see a guy compete hard when he plays his old team. Yeah. So I kind of wish he was in for this one, but I mean, you got Stadnyka. He's going to freaking fight for this one. So.
Oh, speaking of revenge games, 2 of the players that scored against the Canucks this week, Travis Hamonic and Jordy Ben. Yeah, so that's pretty awesome.
And Jordy Ben, I love the guy.
Me too.
Hamonic, I don't really like him, but Jordy Ben, you just see the smile on the guy's face when he scored. You can't, like, you just have to be happy for the guy.
I texted Wes immediately. I was like, of course it was Jordy Ben. Of course. Like, the second he got...
Absolutely shelved it, too.
Yeah. The second he got put in the lineup, in my mind, I'm like, Ben's getting a goal tonight. Or an assist or something. So. Yeah. But yeah, not a great week. Started off the week good against Ottawa. Yeah. And then it was
just that Canadian game that really put a salty taste in
my mouth. That game sucked.
Yeah. The Toronto game, I wasn't that disappointed, because like, we didn't get outscored by a crazy amount. Like, we were kind of in the game. You know what I mean? Like, the second period was horrendous, but other than that, I felt like it was pretty good.
Yeah, against Toronto, I wouldn't say we got blown out of the water. I think we stood with them fairly good. Toronto's supposed to be a contender, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, that Montreal game was just brutal. It was over in the first because of self-inflicted wounds, like the bad penalty, the tipping the puck in your own net, the horrible turnover, and like 3-0 in this league. Like, yes, it's getting more. You see more comebacks, but man, 3-0. That's in the first. That's hard to come back from.
That's a knife in the belly right there.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do some news now. November 7th, 2022, the Canucks announce. On December 1st, 2022, will be the Hockey Hall of Fame night against the Florida Panthers. Mm-hmm. So it'll be honoring the Sedins and Roberto Luongo. So very fitting. Just hope the Canucks don't get shellacked by a good Panthers team.
Yeah, no doubt.
And another thing we'll talk about too. November 7th, 2022, the Bruins announced that they've released Mitchell Miller. I checked in at the time. They can't actually do it yet for some reason.
Yeah.
They can do it later, but they will.
I heard something about, like, because someone asked about, like, oh, do you have to buy him out then or whatever? And they didn't even want to answer that question.
Yeah.
Basically, I think people will be mad at the fact that he is going to get some money out of this, which isn't what you want to see. But I was at least glad that the fans stood their ground and let that organization know how they felt about it.
The fans and the players. And like we've said many times, like, I do not like giving the Boston Bruins credit because they took a cup from me.
Yeah.
Us.
Yeah.
The players did the right thing here.
Yeah.
And the fans did the right thing here, standing up for what they think is right.
Yeah. The initial move was disgusting.
Yeah.
The fact they even made that mistake is disgusting on its own, but the fact that they corrected it, at least they did that.
Yeah, and you can tell too, like, everybody knew this was the wrong thing to do, except for the guys that signed him to the contract. So,
well, even I don't know if it was the owner of the team or who was speaking out at that point, but he basically said, "I don't know how our GM made this mistake."
Yeah.
Like, he was horrified by it. So to bring a black eye to your organization when you're the most winningest team in the league right now, just kind of negative press for no reason.
Yeah, and I should look up his name. Isaiah, I can't remember his last name, but the victim of Mitchell Miller released a statement, and it's just, like, it's absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
It's on the Score app. I'm sure you can find it anywhere, but if you want to go look at it, like, it's just terrible what that kid had to go through, and it just, like, I knew certain things that had happened, but there's way more that
way worse. Yeah, it was worse than even I thought it was when we had talked about it originally, and I don't want to dive too deep into it, but I mean, it was just horrific.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Bruins at some point will release him if he hasn't been released yet. I'm not sure how that whole situation works, but yeah.
Basically, he's never playing in the NHL, which that's how it should be.
On November 7th, 2022, Travis Dermott returns to practice for the first time since training camp, wearing a gray non-contact jersey. So that's nice to see him. Everybody thinks it was a concussion. So it's nice to see him back and skating. November 8th, 2022, Sheldon Dries was reassigned to Abbotsford. And then November 10th, 2022, the Canucks placed Tanner Pearson on IR after having hand surgery. Out 4 to 6 weeks, Sheldon Dries was recalled. Kind of I don't want to say a blessing in disguise with the Pearson injury, but a little bit, right?
Yeah, like, he needs to sit down for a little bit.
Yeah, and this solves the issue of always having to scratch one of Pods or Hoglander or even Garland the rare time. Like,
let him play.
Now those guys are in the lineup. Yeah. Like, there's no... Unless Bruce kind of pulls a fastball and is like, Sheldon Dries needs to play, let Podkolzin and Hoglander play. Like, these are two major parts of your future. You can't have them in the press box.
Yeah. I feel like with Oman in the lineup, it's going to be really hard for Sheldon Dries to get in there.
Yeah.
He's been good.
Yeah, and the fourth line seems like that's a set line now, right?
It's like our strongest line right now.
Most consistent.
I should say, like, 200-foot game, most consistent line,
So, and Pearson hasn't really been that effective, right? Like, like we said, like, it looks like he's lost the step. He's taking bad penalties. He cost the team severely against Montreal, like, just on his own. Yeah. Again, we don't want to see him hurt. No. But, clearly he wasn't going.
And he also kind of played in, like, that bruiser style of hockey where, like, you could get away with some slashes and stuff like that. Yeah. But now they're calling everything then. Like, the calls are pretty soft most of the time, so you can't be doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like the LA Kings teams that he was on that, like, bashed their way to Stanley Cups.
Exactly.
You can't really play that style of hockey. Like, no. Unless you're very disciplined about it. And clearly Tanner Pearson hasn't been.
No, especially in the offensive zone. What are you doing?
Yeah, you can't take penalties 200 feet from your goal. Especially, like, all he's trying to do is get a puck back.
Yeah.
Like, you have so much time to reset and defend, and then instead you just give Montreal possession in the offensive zone.
Yeah.
But we do wish him a speedy recovery, and hopefully when he comes back, he's...
On the fourth line or third line. Don't disrupt the fourth line chem there. Put him on the third line.
I was going to say hopefully he's back to being the effective Tanner Pearson that we've seen before. But
I just do not want to see him play with Besser, Miller, any of those types of players. Bo, I don't want to see him on the ice at the same time as any of them.
He definitely is a bottom six player at this point.
And when they put him in the bottom six, he looked great.
Yeah. And then,
stop trying to play him up.
Yeah, and then for whatever reason, you want to throw Miller back at center and just kind of reshuffle everything, and you immediately put Pearson and Besser with them, and, like,
It looked terrible.
I'm fine playing Miller and Besser together, but
But
Pearson's not
no.
especially if you want to get Besser to start scoring some goals.
Put Hogs there.
Or like Garland or
Somebody.
right, like
Yeah.
a passer. Like Tanner Pearson's not a setup guy. He's gonna take the puck to the net. Besser needs someone to pass him the puck. Miller can do that.
Yeah.
But if you have another option there too, like it just helps open things up. Like
100%.
everybody knows Tanner Pearson's just gonna, he's not gonna make a super skilled pass
No.
all the time. Like,
Yeah, and another line I didn't really like the shuffle on because they took JT Miller off the wing on Bo's line, obviously. So then you had Garland, Bo, and Pods, and it seemed like Pods in the first game didn't really look right on that line, but then in the second game looked a lot better on that line. So
yeah,
hopefully it's something that Pods is kind of coming around the corner with that assist, and he starts to look really good here.
He hasn't looked himself since the first couple of games. Like I remember the first games, he was taking the puck to the net and had so many passes to like Petey and Kuzmenko, and just they weren't burying him. So I'm not worried about him, right? Like we always talk about the sophomore slump, and I don't think it'll be a season-long thing for Podkolzin. I think he's in a bad groove, but the way he plays, he'll get out of it, right?
Yeah.
It's like how Pearson plays, except Podkolzin's good at it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tanner.
It was just that Montreal game was horrific. So we have to kind of... We are always so hard on JT Miller. It's time to be hard on Tanner Pearson when it's... You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so at this point now, you have to wonder, like, what's next for the team, right? Like, is Horvat being shopped? And, like, even then, like, if this team rebuilds... It's so hard to do that because you're locked into OEL and JT Miller.
Or contract situations. You can't do it.
And it, like, they've shown that, like, just reshuffling things hasn't worked yet. Like,
no, and it's the wrong shuffling, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, Boudreau has not done a good job of putting the right line combinations together. The best one he had was JT Miller, Bo Horvat, and Connor Garland. And now with Besser back, it seems like that's completely broken. And now we don't have that line chem that we once had in the goal scoring. So now it's kind of back to trying to figure things out, which I don't like doing that when we're on a tough stretch.
Well, and I was more talking about from a GM standpoint, like bringing players in, right? Like we all like, I'm not sure where I'm at with the team. Like if I want them to blow it up and just build around Quinn and Petey and maybe Demko.
I think if you get rid of Bo, it's the biggest dagger in the back. He's our biggest asset right now, and I get he's the most tradable piece. It's easy to trade him right now because his value's high. But he's definitely our captain. You trade him away, he's
been an absolute beast, but like if you re-sign him to a long-term deal, like
then we're stuck. We kind of already are.
Yeah, like you're still in the same spot, and like if you ship him out, like maybe you can get a right-handed defenseman and a first-round pick or something like that. Like it's such a bad spot this team is in that like I don't know what the right answer is. I don't know if there is a right answer. I think it might suck. Either way, they choose to do things.
And I think they know that. I think they're just kind of shopping, seeing what's out there. And it's kind of like the JT Miller situation. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, might see some big changes. But.
Yeah. So, like, again, it's another interesting season in Vancouver for not the right reasons.
Yeah.
And, like, because I don't know, like, if you do trade Bo, like, that's a massive hole. You don't have a first or, like... Your face-off ace is gone. Your power play beast is gone. Like
top goal scorer on the team gone. Like there's just so many accolades that are out the window.
And then if you sign him, we're still the same team we were, right? Like clearly a team that's not good enough.
Yeah.
So it's such a tough spot to be in. Like you almost got to look at it like maybe they made a mistake signing JT first. Like maybe it should have been Bo, and you get off to this start, you can ship Miller out or something. And, but like I don't know. That's all speculation and what ifs.
I know I've already said this before, but like Garland is one of those guys. He makes lots of money. He's not the biggest guy. Like you see the way Ilya Mikheyev is able to use body position and take the puck to the net. Connor Garland can't necessarily do that. He doesn't necessarily have a rocket of a shot, but the guy can pass the puck like second to none.
Yeah.
And he can make those fine plays and sharp angle shots. So he does get goals. It's just like he's got a $5 million contract. If we have to sign Bo and ship Garland out, we will.
Yeah, and
they're probably looking at an option like that.
I imagine the Canucks are probably looking at everything other than moving Hughes and Petey.
Yeah,
like, and even there've been talk with the Vancouver media that like Demko is not one of the untouchables now, which I don't know if that's right or wrong.
It's not a good idea.
I don't think Demko is a bad goalie. I
No.
think he is just having
He's having a bad time.
a bad stretch. And
Demko, I'm telling you, take the freaking hair off, buddy.
It's like the Yaroslav Halak thing, right? Like the team's just not giving him offense, and they're making bad mistakes in front of him.
Yeah, the defense is absolutely horrific in front of him.
That first period in Montreal, like, is not Demko's fault at all. Any of it, in my opinion, anyways. Like, maybe there's goalie experts that are like, oh well, he should have done this and this, but
But you just feel like when you watch Spencer Martin play last night, look at some of those saves he made.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking in my head, if that's Demko in the net, maybe one of those goes in. You know what I mean? It's just like that bad luck vibe around him right now, which isn't good.
There definitely is like that black hole in the net where it seems like everything's just going right in.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like it's his fault.
He's in a slump right now.
Yeah, it just is that vibe, like you said.
We know the bubble Demko. We know the Dem show that can show up, and mark my words, maybe another week, maybe 2 weeks, he'll be in good form.
I'm not at the point yet where I'm worried about him.
No.
So let's go over our score predictions for next week here, Wes. Tonight, what do we got? November 13th, we're in Boston. This is going to be a tough one.
It is.
I'm legitimately concerned about this one.
But last night, we didn't have the worst game.
Yeah.
So let's hope we can build off of that a little bit here.
I'm just sticking with my guns, and I just can't give the Bruins a win. 4-2 Vancouver.
I like that. I think it's going to be a tight game. I like that 3-2 game last night. We kept it tight. Didn't let up a ton of goals. You got to think Demko's starting tonight because it's a back-to-back.
And it's his hometown.
Exactly.
Which kind of makes sense why they gave Martin the start last night, because Toronto is his hometown. So it's kind of a
definitely makes sense. And plus, he's the only goalie with like a bunch of wins right now. So, but yeah, I think with Demko and net, man, you never know. A couple might slip through, but maybe we get that Dem show that we've been looking for.
Maybe it's what sparks him, right? Like playing in front of his family. Maybe this is...
And the number 1 ranked team in the league right now. Like maybe that wakes him up and gets him motivated for this one. And I don't think he has a lack of motivation, so don't take that the wrong way.
3-0 Vancouver.
Demko's getting a goose egg. I would actually love to see that. I'll go 4-3 Vancouver Canucks because I don't want to take the L tonight. I think we need a dub, and I think obviously both teams have some firepower. Bo Horvat has not missed the net very much lately. So.
Legitimately on I believe, a 71 goal pace.
Yeah. It's scary.
Insane. And then Tuesday night, November 15th, Vancouver in Buffalo. Again, a Sabres team that's pretty fun to watch, and a team that's kind of doing the right rebuild.
They've been hungry, and they added good players.
Even though they've been rebuilding for like 10 years, almost like the Canucks have been retooling. I think I got to go like 5-4 Buffalo in this one.
Whenever we play them, it does seem to kind of be a scoring game.
Yeah.
Especially with Tuck on the ice, they'll just flip one all the way down 150 feet right on his tape, and he'll get a breakaway. But I don't even know what to predict this one. Let's go 4-2 Vancouver. Let's hope we get a dub and a couple goal lead and not blow it.
Yeah. And then Friday night, November 18th, LA in Vancouver. So we're back home after what's been a pretty shitty road trip so far. So home game Friday night. LA's pretty decent. What do you think, Wes?
Freaking Kevin Fiala, man, that guy. He's just, I don't know. I just don't like his mug, but he just always scores. I know I'm giving just straight up wins here, but it's because we need wins. Like, it's hard not to root for the boys and hope they pull out of this, but we got to play 60 minutes of hockey against this team, because if we don't, they're gonna break us. So I'll go 3-2 Vancouver, keep it a tight scoring game, and let's hope Demko's shutting the door like we've seen him do in the past.
I'm gonna say 3-1 Vancouver. And this game against the Kings, right, has some potential to get ugly, especially if we lose bad to Boston and lose to Buffalo.
Yeah,
they're gonna come home to probably a pissed off crowd, right?
And Luke Schen's going to have to drop the mitts. Joshua's going to have to drop the mitts. We seen when JT Miller and all the boys let him fly. I hope Bo gets one in. And Bo against Boston, he likes to punch out Boston players. So let's hope we see some fire in these games.
So like at the very least, you got to win that Buffalo game to not come home to an absolutely irate
Vancouver crowd. Yeah.
But yeah, those are our games next week. nothing Saturday or Sunday, so we'll have the podcast at our regularly scheduled time.
Yep.
Who's your Canuck of the week this week, Wes?
It's so funny. Honestly, Spencer Martin's looked so good that I want to give him a shout out. He's not the Canuck of the week, but he's definitely one of our best players right now.
Yeah.
For me, it's Bo Horvat again, man. The guy just leads the way. He's just our truck right now. He cannot miss.
I'm giving it to Bo Horvat too. It just seems like every game it's 2 goals.
Yeah.
And then maybe he'll have a quiet game where he only has an assist.
Yeah.
And then it's 2 goals the next game, and then 2 goals the game after that. I was looking at his last 5 games on the NHL page, and it's 8 goals.
Yeah.
And
He's
9
top
points.
scorers
It's just,
in the league.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And shout out to Luke Shen, man. Luke Shen's looked pretty awesome.
Luke Shen's been really good.
A goal, a couple assists, some nice deflection shots. Luke Shen's looked great.
Maybe some pretty high value there for a playoff team for Mr. Luke Shen.
Yeah.
You throw a first rounder my way, I'd probably take it.
Yeah. If we get rid of him, man, our D is fucked.
It'll be a dark rest of the season if we lose Shen.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'll do it for this week's episode, unless you have anything else you want to talk about.
No, that's good for me.
All right. Check us out on YouTube, the Canuckleheads Podcast, Apple, Spotify, anywhere there's podcasts.
Another one in the bag.